So much for stopping by. The SMG category in Warzone right now is extremely competitive because of the various updates that we've seen over the course of obviously this season, but also the past few weapon updates. We've got a meta now that is honestly incredibly difficult to go through and say, okay, hey, these are the definitive top 5 SMGs and this is number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But today getting some of the other options here, but the BP50 conversion kit, which is a true SMG, that's got to be on here. The Horus, as always, shout out to True Game Data, Tony, for putting in the work, making this data so easily accessible. We got a 40-meter max on here looking purely at TTK. Keep in mind, TTK is not the only factor here. There's also several other things, various movement mechanics, you know, sprint to fire, ADS, strafe, everything like that. To 5 first and foremost, and initially one that unfortunately just does not compete with the versatility of others is the FJX Horus. Yes, it's so good within its first damage range, but that's only about 8 meters and then it drops off very harsh. Good range, that's one that does definitely need to be knocked down. And unfortunately for that same reason, the BP50, you might be thinking, oh, if the BP50 is going, so is that like lime green line, the Supri, but the Supri way other than TTK that I think keeps it in the conversation. This is going to be a bit of a surprise to some people, but now you look at this graph and say, okay, the top TTK is the Lockman Shroud, right? This conversion kit gun that's just good at killing and not good at anything else, like movement or even having good attachments because it's an MW2 gun. So unfortunately, while yes, this thing kills crazy quick, the fact that its attachments are so limiting and so limited by the conversion kit, and the fact that its mobility is not really up to speed with some of these other choices and everything. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And this is where things, quite frankly, get very tricky. But overall on this list, what stands out to me the most is that the Wasp 9, while it does have a crazy good effective damage range, doesn't really ever shine in one particular area. And while I personally love the sub, 4 very versatile, great range SMGs that have decently quick TTKs, and then the Supri, which is all about movement and its close damage range having a faster TTK ever so slightly than these other choices. So now that said, let's jump in game. Let's break down the best setups and attachments for all these weapons. And if you're new to the channel, you want to guarantee you're always up to date with stuff like this, the latest meta weapons, all the new updates, feel free to hit that subscribe button and join us on the road to 1 million subs. So at number 5, I do think it has to be the Supri, obviously just because everything else on the list is so versatile with its range. The Rescue 9 stock on here helps out with attack sprint speed and your base sprint speed. We're gonna go with the as well, which is super nice. Then Jack Slash also helps out with your movement speed and your attack sprint speed. And you can see just behind the face cam, we have an 8.3 attack sprint speed. Nothing else in the game is coming close to that, which means you can push that close range and get there incredibly quick. We also have High Grain on here, extends out that range to 13 meters, which is solid there. Good velocity as well. And then the 40 round extended mag, obviously pretty basic there, all things considered. But yeah, I've been using this setup for a while. It's one of my favorites purely because its movement is so unique and so effective. Now at number 4, I've got the Ram 9. It is a close call between like this, number 3, number 2, even number 1, honestly, like the feel of these guns. But the Ram, just one that is maybe a little bit behind others in certain cases. Really haven't been able to talk about it in some time. Nice to see this one sort of you know, back up fire rate here. High grain ammo here as well, extends out that range to almost 17 meters. You got a 690 velo, which is fantastic for hit scan range. You're never going to really be fighting outside of that hit scan range realistically with this thing. Then the light barrel actually does more for your range and velo as well, stacking on top of high grain to get those values. Plus you get a little bit better strafe with that too. Those control cons don't really matter all that much because we've got quartermaster suppressor on there, basically negating all of that stuff, and paracord helps out even more with horizontal control, general gun kick, and then also strafe, general movement, and sprint to fire as well. So it's a pretty snappy and aggressive setup. The ADS speed is not the quickest here. Maybe that's what sets it apart a tad bit more at number 4, but still a phenomenal SMG. Advantage. If you're an active viewer here on the channel, you know that in every single face cam video I post, I'm wearing my Horizon frames because these truly, more so than anything else in my setup, the PCs, the monitors, the controllers, whatever, these are the most important element because they keep me feeling fresh every single day. I'm sleeping better at night because of these. I can you if you're at school, if you're at work, or if you are playing games or maybe working on content for yourself like me. These are game changers. Cannot recommend them enough. And Gamer Advantage is just in picking up a pair for yourself, throwing code Immortal at checkout. It'll save you some cash. Who doesn't love that, of course? The link for that will be down in the description below if you are interested. Now at number 3, I've got the Rival. This thing is snappy, it's aggressive, super agile as a sub, relatively easy to use, and as we saw in that graph, crazy good range and overall effectiveness there. So checking all the right boxes for SMG. You know, you're not gonna be fighting at 40, 50 meters with this thing in your hand. hand, obviously. Paracord on our barrel, better strafe, better horizontal control, faster sprint, too much. Then I also really like the fire starter barrel. This game, if you're looking for a sniper support choice, this is it. If you're looking for an SMG that is super forgiving, like if you turn a corner and someone's 25 meters out from you, you don't have to switch to your, rifle. You don't, of course. High grain ammo on here extends out our range to 19 meters, and then also a 752 velo when we stack high grain, and then also the recon long barrel on here as well. So crazy good range, really good velo with this thing out in your hands, which other subs just can't say. Again, we got Quartermaster on here. Then for your, I'd suggest maybe messing around, seeing how you like the feel of each of those individually. Then whatever works the best for you, run it. You'll be set. There's not really a wrong answer here, just because this thing is so versatile and so consistent that it's going to compete in pretty much all those main situations you'll find yourself in. It's got close, and like I said earlier, I think you could make an argument for the Striker, for the Rival, for the Ram, even I guess for the Super if you're just focused on the ultra close range as well, right? But here, familiar setup if you're an active viewer on there. Nightar model 2023 just for a basic optic here. I'm super accurate with this. If there's a different scope you'd rather have on here, always run what you are the most comfortable with. Light barrel on here also helps out with your tac sprint speed, your strafe, your general movement, your ADS, your sprint to fire, doing a little bit of everything for your mobility there. Paracord yet again, horizontal control, better movement, and then Quartermaster suppressor, better control across the board. So laser beam accurate, super agile and aggressive, quick TTK. It's doing everything. It's such a high level. It is absolutely the #1 SMG right now. And that being said, that's going to wrap things up. If you enjoyed the video, if you found it helpful at all, a like rating really would be appreciated. And if you are new here, feel free to hit that subscribe button on your way out so you can always guarantee you are up to date with everything you need to know about Call of Duty. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you later. Peace out.